Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening to you all. Thank you for joining our Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation session with a focus on resilience to climate change. It's great to see so many of you have joined. My name is Peggram and I am a Market Engagement Manager on the Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation team, working on the Innovation Fund. Before we begin, I just wanted to run through a few logistics and housekeeping rules. For the first part of the session, we'll be showing an introduction and pre-recorded presentations from two of our Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation Fund grantees. This will last for approximately 30 minutes, and then we will go into a Q&A session with representatives from the two grantee organisations fielding questions. If you do have a question that you would like to submit, please type it in the chat or Q&A function, where I will then read it out. For the session, if you could all please remain on mute, so that would be greatly appreciated. Finally, the session is being recorded and will be available to watch back on the Thrive platform. Also, there is an option to use a pop-up called Wordly, which will essentially take the audio and translate it into words. That is an available pop-up option for you. And there is an option to translate into French should you wish to do so. Okay, without further ado, I will begin the presentation and I will hand over to Kimberly Brown, who will be introducing the session as a whole. Thank you very much.
Welcome all, and thank you very much for joining us for our session on humanitarian innovation in Africa with a focus on climate change. I'm really pleased that we have the opportunity to welcome two excellent presenters today, and I will be introducing them shortly. In this session, we will explore how digital technology helps to improve the food security and climate change resilience of rural communities. My name is Kimberly Brown, and I am the head of the Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation program at the GSMA. The aim of our program is to reach people in humanitarian contexts with improved access and use of life-enhancing mobile-enabled services. Our team builds partnerships, invests in innovation, and unlocks policy barriers and delivers original research that strengthens the role and the sustainability of mobile-enabled services in humanitarian contexts. Climate change is seen as an increasing driver of humanitarian crisis and response. And so in our team, we see climate change as an issue that cuts across all types of humanitarian situations. So, for example, people living in fragile circumstances, such as in conflict areas, they feel the effects of climate change much more severely. The combination of climate, conflict, poverty, and persecution makes refugee and displacement emergencies so much more complex. The number of climate-related disasters is on the rise, adding even more complexity to the humanitarian landscape. In this session, we have the opportunity to shine a spotlight on two projects that the Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation program has worked to develop with partners. These examples will demonstrate how and why this topic is so important, in particular in light of the COVID-19 emergency that the whole world is grappling with. So to introduce our speakers, first we will hear from Timur at Geopoll, which is an organization that carries out remote surveys to monitor and map food security and nutrition to some of the hardest to reach populations around the world. Real-time food security, nutrition, crisis scale, and market-related information ensures that information comes at the right time to give a more rapid humanitarian response. Geopoll works in the Sahel region and works with the World Food Programme. And this is a region where temperatures are rising at 1.5 times faster than the global average. 80% of the farmland has been degraded due to climate change. And Geopoll's data brings information into a global hunger map that's used around the world by various stakeholders. Our second speaker is Ambrose from Alight, and we will hear about a project that provides improved energy access equipment such as solar light, charging, and fuel-efficient cook stoves to refugees in Uganda and Rwanda. We hope you enjoy the presentations. We look forward to discussing with you in the question and answers session. and we thank you very much for joining us today.
Good afternoon. My name is Timur, Nusratty, and I serve as General Counsel and Executive Vice President in Mobile Accord, better known in our industry as Geopol. I oversee all legal and regulatory work for Geopol, and I also manage our relationships with our mobile network operator, our MNO partners. Today, I'm going to be speaking about the work we're doing at Geopol, and more specifically, the support we provide to development in humanitarian organizations like the World Food Program, the WFP, in addressing very pressing issues facing the world now, such as climate change and food security. Geopol is a mobile-based research, data collection, and data analytics company that leverages the wide reach and power of mobile technology to provide vital data to humanitarian and commercial organizations, particularly in emerging markets. In the past 10 years, we have grown to become Africa's largest mobile-based research and data collection platform. We do this, i.e. gather data and conduct research, through multiple mobile-based telecommunications modes, including SMS, live voice calls, the Geopol app, and mobile web links. With this data, we then generate the insights that our clients, including the WFP, the World Bank, and other development organizations, can use to make data-driven decisions on humanitarian programs. Geopol works around the globe with a focus on emerging markets, emerging regions, as I mentioned previously. But our particular focus is in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Our largest office is in Nairobi, Kenya, and we have additional offices in South Africa, Europe, and the US. We conduct over 10 million interviews per year and have 250 million total mobile subscribers in our database as a result of our relationships and our partnerships we have built over the years with our MNO partners. One of the key reasons for Geopol's success is our long-standing relationship with the MNOs around the globe, which I had mentioned previously. We are directly integrated with over 80 MNOs, which enables us to send messages to their subscribers, provide a seamless experience for respondents to take our surveys and polls, and also to provide immediate airtime credit incentives to the subscribers as a thank you for the participation. This provides a benefit for our humanitarian partners by enabling them to reach a wide range of the population in near real time without having to send interviewers or enumerators to the field for data collection purposes. It also benefits our MNO partners to increase traffic to their networks and also increase subscriber retention and loyalty. One of the areas Geopol is focused on with our partners, including the WFP, is food security. Geopol has assisted the WFP and other orgs to conduct food security research for several years. Food security is directly related to climate change circumstances in many areas, and an estimated 26 million people are food insecure due to climate reasons, including drought, including drought, flood, and inclement weather events that cause crop failure and consequent food shortages. This is especially the case in many countries in Africa where Geopol operates. In the Sahel, the effect of climate change is even more pronounced than in other areas. Temperatures are rising extremely quickly, and research shows that 80% of the arable land has been degraded due to climate change and drought. This has led to countries such as Mali and Niger to experience higher levels of food insecurity. Geopol is currently working with the WFP and the GSMA on a project to collect information on food security in the Sahel that is used by humanitarian stakeholders globally to make critical programmatic decisions. Data collected by Geopol flows directly into the hunger map, which provides a detailed, interactive look at food security and malnutrition in specific areas and shows trends over time. With the GSMA support, we are working in 8 countries in the Sahel region and are collecting data from multiple modes, including live voice calls and CDR data, call detail records. One key component of the project that I mentioned is live voice calls conducted through dedicated call centers and/or operators working remotely as a result of COVID-19. Live voice calls allow for high-quality data to be collected remotely, meaning data can be collected during conflict from rural and remote regions and during health crises such as COVID, which prevents in-person data collection. Data is then recorded in Geopol's proprietary application, and airtime credit incentives are provided to respondents who participate in our surveys. This mode has been very successful for organizations like the WFP as a way to leverage the growing reach of mobile technology and telephony in countries in Africa where mobile penetration is typically above 85% of the population. CDRs, or call detail records, are another key part of this project we are working on with the GSMA and the WFP. CDR data is an innovative way to use mobile data to gather more granular data and information on food security. We are leveraging CDR data safely and privately to gather very targeted location information that will serve as an early warning tool for food crises and provide real-time insights into food security trends. For the MNOs, they can then share the data while maintaining privacy of their subscribers, reduce subscriber churn, and increase loyalty while benefiting from the ability to productize their valuable CDR information for humanitarian aid needs. Some of the project benefits through CDR data include more granular targeting and the identification of food security trends as they emerge and grow, enabling humanitarian agencies to deliver more effectively their aid and their programmatic needs, and also to assist populations impacted by food insecurity due to climate change, conflict, and other factors. Through the support of the GSMA, Geopol is able to gather more granular data to further support our humanitarian partner organizations like the WFP, as well as provide an avenue for us to test and then scale this type of work around the globe to hopefully benefit other people in need around the world. I would like to thank you for the time, and I'm happy to field any questions as they come in remotely. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, and welcome to GSMA Thrive Africa event. My name is Ambrose. I work for Alight. I'm glad to talk to you about our project, Mwangaza, which means light, which is aimed at improving refugee access to clean energy. Alight, with funding from GSMA Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation Fund, and in partnership with Alight, is implementing a project entitled Mwangaza, that means light. And the aim is to improve access to clean and safe energy, technologies for cooking as well as lighting among refugees and host communities in Bidibidi refugee settlement in Uganda and Chiziba refugee camp in Rwanda. The project combines three components, that's finance and market-driven, which also focuses, it is a human-centered project, as well as it's also aiming at scalability of the interventions. In terms of technology, we are utilizing solar home system 620, and as well as home stores with a solar home system 620. We have a component of light, radio. It's a full set which generates electricity from the sun. It also saves up to 24 hours of light. It uses pay-as-you-go in terms of payment correction. For the home stores, it as well generates electricity from fire, uses USB cable for light or for phone charging, reduces smoke by 90%, and equally uses 50% less the wood. Because lack of access to clean and safe energy exposes refugees as well as host communities to traditional use of biomass, fuel like charcoal, firewood for cooking, kerosene lamps for lighting, therefore providing access to clean and safe alternative source of energy improves general health, safety, protection, education, and livelihood of refugees as well as host communities. So in terms of, in addition to that, there is widespread use of clean and safe energy technologies, which enables households to save fuel. They save money, of course, because of the time spent in collecting firewood, time spent in cooking. There is high kind of saving as a result of improved these technologies. It also reduces the current pressure on forests, which has been looked at as a source of energy for cooking and other methods. For financing, as I talked about above, it uses a pay-as-you-go system, which is supported by SolarS. Payment through mobile money, supported by MTN mobile money. And so far, statistically, we've seen a number of solar home systems installed to date, 243 for Rwanda. In Rwanda, we've not been able to progress because of the lockdown challenges. By the time the project kick-started, the shipment had not reached Rwanda. However, we're in the process of receiving their own transit to Rwanda, and we will be able to have 250 kits coming to Rwanda. For the number of stoves which have been installed to date, out of 250 we planned to install, we so far moved 145 for Rwanda, 145 for Uganda, sorry, and 165 for Rwanda. When you look at the repayments on average, through of course the mobile payment system, the payment is at 70%, and for Uganda and 45% for Rwanda. And because of access to these kits, we've created or we've installed energy kiosks where we have our agents and market salespersons stationed within those locations, for each location. Mainly the goal is to make sure that the premium energy solutions are affordable for low-income families and businesses. And the second goal for us is to closing the gap in the access of financial services, which has always been a limitation in terms of people either paying for the products they receive as a result of those requiring collateral. So these particular products act as collateral because the payment, once the payment is done, then clients are able to access either energy by cooking or lighting. As you can see, it is market driven. Our customers make application based on need. You can be able to have either the two products, that is the cook stove, or you can have a kit for your light. So either way, there is flexibility for customers to make choice on what they want. So in terms of sustainability in both Uganda and Rwanda, the clean energy market is growing fast. However, access of these products is still scarce in refugee setting, for example. So Alight, through its project, hopes to demonstrate the demand and the viability of new markets and companies operating outside in the country to bring this service closer. In terms of job creation, this project also through training and onboarding of energy technicians and field agents, we've been able to see jobs created, and as well as charging, people come and charge from these kits, and then they pay for those owners of those particular kits. Why GSMA, and so far what are we seeing as we progress? GSMA and Innovation Fund has given us an opportunity to try something new in the humanitarian space. Most of the time, refugees or persons who have been displaced have been considered people who are only on the receiving end, but this has given us an opportunity, this project has given us an opportunity to see how refugees are demanding and access for these kits and are paying actually to own these kind of products. Also to demonstrate demand of energy and ability to dispose persons, to pay for fuel, to meet their household and business needs. It's a good kind of lesson we are picking. We also look at, we contribute to improved well-being of displaced persons and host communities, of course, related to promoting environmentally friendly and sustainable sources of energy, which allows, of course, good and friendly living between the ecosystem as well as humanity, and empowering youth, of course, creating and contributing to job creation. So far, what are we seeing as well? We are seeing a market-driven approach. Of course, clients keep coming for the products. We're also seeing increased study hours because of Light. Students are able to read from home for more extended hours, and of course, leading to improved grades. Especially also in these times of COVID, the radio component has been very resourceful in giving lessons, because teaching now is either on radio or on television. And because of low income status of some of those households, radio has been a source of study for students who access lessons on radio. And then we also see reduced time spent in acquiring fuel, to mention but a few. We also look at the payment rates and viability of mobile money as a convenient modality for payment, because a client is able to pay at their own time. They are able to pay at any time of the day or the night, for as long as they are able to access the system. Also, it promotes peaceful coexistence, because 30% of the project is for host community. So instead of host community looking at refugees as only destroying the environment in terms of looking for wood, they have also lived with them, and also they have also benefited from this project. In terms of context, Uganda and Rwanda, Uganda is policy is on refugee kind of settlement, where refugees are able to have different kind of other livelihood income, so they have been able to. We have seen also the trends of payment processes coming in and money coming from different sources. But equally in Rwanda, where refugees are within the camp context, are able also to make some payments, as you have seen in the statistics arrangement. Also, clean energy access and improved safety of women and girls, because cooking has been on time now, and as well as of course, making sure that they are not spending a lot of time looking for firewood. So thank you so much for listening to me. I would like to introduce you to our footage to see the day-to-day work of our field agents and customers. Thank you so much.
Good evening, I'm Fono, the GSMA project manager for the Burundi settlement in Uganda, and I've been working with this project since October 2019. I'm generally responsible for overseeing and coordinating the implementation of project activities, and I work closely with key partners like MTN, Solaris Off-Grid, and Valueadded to ensure project plans are implemented effectively. My team also comprises of 5 sales agents who also double as technicians and support the project sales processes like awareness creation, identification of target customers, installations and repairs of broken equipment, and maintaining relationships with customers. We so far have 284 direct beneficiaries or households that have acquired the devices and are making payments using mobile money platforms. The sales process starts with prospects filling out an application form with support from the field agents. The applications are then registered on the platform and approved once they meet all the requirements. The prospect then receives a message on their phone that their application has been approved and that they can proceed with making payments through mobile money. Once the down payment is received by Alight, the device is handed over to the client. An agreement is signed with the client for a maximum period of 12 months. Then the client starts making their monthly installments. The technicians also at this point do the installations and training on product usage. Our pricing strategy is divided into 3 categories. That is, we have clients that take both the solar home system and the cook stove. For these clients, they pay a full loan amount of 546,000 Ugandan shillings. They make a down payment of 42,000 shillings and make monthly installments of 42,000 shillings stretched over 12 months. We also have clients that take only the solar home system. For these clients, they pay the full loan amount of 342,000 shillings, a down payment of 42,000 shillings, and monthly installments of 25,000 shillings, again stretched over a period of 12 months. Lastly, we have clients that only take the cook stove. For these clients, they pay 204,000 Ugandan shillings, a down payment of 24,000 shillings, and monthly installments of 15,000 shillings for a period of 12 months. The greatest advantages of using the pay-as-you-go system is that it gives you the flexibility of working from any part of the world as long as you have access to the internet. And also with the current COVID-19 outbreak, it minimizes the physical interaction with clients. Clients are able to make payments using mobile money platforms because it's flexible and more convenient for them. The only challenge, however, with the system is that some of our clients are located in areas that have no access to mobile money services and have to travel long distances to deposit the money on their phones, which is an additional cost for them. However, we are working out a way with local mobile money operators on the possibility of extending their services to these locations. This, of course, has financial implications for them. Another challenge maybe is the outbreak of COVID-19 that has affected the implementation of activities, movements, and household income. We are, however, granting clients that are unable to make payments due to COVID-19 interruptions, payment delays for an agreed period of time. There is also a need to create continuous awareness on the existence and availability of clean, safe, and affordable energy technologies for cooking and lighting.
Okay, so thank you very much to Timur from Geopol and Ambrose and Evelyn from Alight for putting those sessions together. And I'm pleased to say that we're joined by Timur and Ambrose for our Q&A session. So thank you both for joining, and we're looking forward to learning more about your organisation and the work that you're doing that is supported by the Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation Fund. So if I could ask Ambrose and Timur to turn on your videos and we can start with the Q&A. Okay, so before we go into any audience questions, I have some questions that I'd like to ask myself. So Timur, I'm going to start off with you. So I would be interested in learning more about the climate situation in the Sahel. And from the surveys that Geopol have conducted, can you go into more detail about how the responses have indicated that climate change is impacting food security in the area and how mobile is enabling that breakdown?
Yeah, of course. Hello, Guy. Good afternoon from London. Again, many thanks to you and the GSMA for the opportunity to participate in Thrive today. And of course, the questions, always happy to participate and provide our insights and feedback. In answer to your first set of very good questions, as you know, as you and many of the listeners are aware, the Sahel has a very unique agricultural and pastoral landscape that poses many challenges for both farmers and pastoralists. 75% of the land in the Sahel is too dry to support sedentary animal husbandry practices. Consequently, many pastoralists are obliged to adopt itinerant practices, moving themselves and their herds around the region according to the availability of water and pasture land, particularly when the dry season begins around November. Climate change has certainly increased these dry seasons and led to several longer droughts over the years, and they continue to. One example was the drought in 2010, which killed an estimated 25% of cattle alone in Niger. The food security data Geopol and the World Food Program collect and analyze looks at indicators such as food consumption, malnutrition, and coping strategies. Through this research and analysis, we have found that in many regions of the Sahel, the percentage of people demonstrating insufficient food consumption indices is very high, meaning above 40% of those surveyed. This is likely due in no small part to climate change, which is stressing and oftentimes diminishing the availability of arable and pastoral lands. Geopol and WFP data does not specifically look at the causes of food insecurity or security, but it can be used to predict upcoming food crises due to climate change. For example, showing that a region's food security is getting worse as a drought begins, and perhaps even showing a slight alleviation as it lifts.
Great, thanks, Timur. And to follow up on that, so once Geopol conducts the surveys and sends the data through to the WFP, how does the WFP respond, and what's the process? And how does this data through digital innovation help improve the humanitarian response?
Yeah, great questions again, and also very relevant. The data Geopol collects regarding food security, as well as data from other global sources on the subject, is loaded into the WFP's Hunger Map, which can be found at hungermap.wfp.org. The Hunger Map is a system offered by the WFP and offered to the public, which shows country and region level food security trends. The data Geopol collects is loaded into the Hunger Map system within days of collection, and the WFP staff then utilizes it to make programmatic decisions, direct aid, and coordinate with other humanitarian entities and donor groups.
Fantastic, thanks very much, Timur. And Ambrose, now I'm going to come over to you for a couple of questions before we open up to the audience. So Ambrose, I'm interested in understanding how Alight balances the comfort of refugees with traditional cook stoves and the climate and ecological benefits of switching to energy safe versions. So it'd be great if we could hear your thoughts on that. Ambrose, I believe you're on mute still.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much
there we go.
For that question. And again, to just shed light, this project is actually being implemented in Uganda and Rwanda in the two contexts. And of course, the climate change challenges have been enormous in terms of over dependency on traditional kind of cook mechanism in terms of using either fuel or wood or kerosene, limited awareness to clean and safe and affordable energy technologies, as well as the environmental degradation. Now, in terms of the competitiveness, in terms of approach, we as an organization, we're looking at the approach that takes and gives humanitarian, provide refugees more of kind of energy that is focused on short-term fixes, and rather than giving them more of long and alternative kind of technologies. So in terms of our project, we take our project to look at the challenges of delivering energy access as a way of promoting refugees' health, and also as a way of looking at safety as well as opportunities of education and livelihood. We also provide refugees access to high quality solar cooking equipment, where we are enabling them to have that kind of particular access. So we use a market-driven approach for retail of Valueadded solar home stoves, as well as Valueadded home stoves, cook stoves. So we look at also subsidizing the products. The products are subsidized by 50% of the original kind of price for them. Then also we look at giving the procuring additional kits from the savings that has been accrued from the kind of subsidies, as well as the method of using pay-as-you-go as a mechanism of payment in terms of accessibility, in terms of also enabling any kind of person who is in a different context to be able to pay and access the service, and then they pay and own. Also, in terms of looking at feedback, we also get feedback, continuous feedback from customers in terms of the products and how they want to really reach out, support, or change based on the product that is available to them.
Thank you, Ambrose. That's a great answer there. And linked to that, I mean, when you're spreading information about the benefits of clean energy, how's the reception amongst the beneficiaries? And does that differ between, say, in Uganda and Rwanda?
I would say, like, generally, the kind of customers we're dealing with have the same appetite with the almost the same of us. Of course, we're dealing with depressed persons in these different locations. And originally, this is not, refugees is not the brand name that our customers would prefer. They would prefer to be seen as able and capable individuals who are willing to take on these kind of innovations and products. So in terms of interest, we don't see any difference in terms of context, because the need for these services and this product is generally the same. But also we do a lot of coordination and awareness activities through, of course, our agents, through our staff who are day in the field. Also, we'll do a lot of collaboration with the Office of the Prime Minister, that the kind of ministry that is in charge for managing refugee settlements, for example, for Uganda. But also we work very closely with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, that is UNHCR, to do a lot of kind of awareness and sensitization, but as well as engaging different kind of stakeholders in terms of creating jobs, because people are looking at it as an opportunity for job creation. Also, they are also looking at identification mechanism. The identification of beneficiaries through kind of joint effort, whereby they are given an opportunity to participate and as well at the same time get the subsidy and have the products by themselves. We also look at repairs and installation. Repairs are done by our trained agents or market people who are in the field all the time. So somehow they're able to address a number of kind of challenges that they come, and they're not looking at the products as a big kind of challenges. And also maintaining the relationship through training and guidance, as well as the usage of the mobile money payment as a process. It has become convenient, and they're willing to do that kind of picking up those kind of products. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you, Ambrose. Okay, well, I'm now going to open the floor up to the audience, and I can see a few questions have come through already. So I will start off by reading. So there's a question here from Kayla, and it's, I believe it's directed to Timur. So it's, how do you account for potential selection bias in your data analysis? Considering that mobile phones may be more available to certain demographics, are you concerned about some groups being overrepresented?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Kayla. And it's a great question, and it comes off pretty often. Clearly, mobile phone penetration in most markets that we cover is about 85%, but there are going to be swaths or overrepresentation. For instance, oftentimes mobile penetration trends more in urban environments, but the Geopoll platform is a technology platform that has been developed over the last decade, and we've created pretty elaborate. And I'm not the technician, I'm not the CTO, but I know that we've created quota management capabilities within the platform that will automatically survey or look to acquire responses from certain demographics, depending on whatever the client requirements are. So for instance, if we're, and it's always in line with the census, and we align our representation with the census of any market that we're actually working in. So for instance, you imagine if the WFP is looking to survey 1,000 people, 50% men, 50% women of different age groups, and we're getting more men than women, we will stop acquiring responses from men when we hit the quota or hit the target, and we'll oversample for the other portion of the targeted populace to reach that target as well. So we've been able to create the technical pulley, so to speak, to accommodate and to account for that. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Timur. And we have a question here for Ambrose from Lauren. What has the general response been of end users to more efficient and clean energy in refugee camps, and have users been receptive? I guess it's building on some of the conversations we had earlier, but just around the general reception of these clean energies and in the refugee camps. It'd be great to kind of elaborate a bit further on the reception of these.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for that question, and great question indeed. As I said, a number of customers in all the contexts are yearning and eager to take on the product. We launched this project almost a year ago, and we've seen tremendous kind of interest in terms of appreciating the products. And one, it's because of the advantages associated with the products and a lot of awareness that has been created and engagement processes. So in terms of acceptability, people, the customers are adapting and accepting the products. And even right now, of course, if it was not the challenge of COVID-19, would be even now having the second lot of kind of products that would have procured from the kind of saving that, or the kind of repayment that we received. So we've seen all the way from Bidibidi in northern Uganda, where we currently have this project, and down to Kiziba, the camp, having interest and taking up these products. And they keep on yearning and progressing. And now we are only able to provide a product per household. But the demand would be even for households, customers within households would even be willing to take up some of these products. Because the capacity now we have is to provide one product per household, and that's why we have those kind of other products. But the demand is there, and the adaptability and acceptability of the products is quite willing because of the advantages associated with the products.
Thank you very much, Ambrose. And we also have a question and a statement from Lucy. It's around agricultural job creation in Uganda and the need for value-added goods. A need around Uganda needing to stop exporting raw goods in order to correct its trade deficits. I wondered, perhaps, Ambrose, if you had any information or answers back to that statement from Lucy there.
Well, of course, I don't, maybe precisely would be really focusing my kind of response to what is happening within the context of areas where we're operating. Yeah, we've seen, of course, Uganda is agriculture is the backbone of Uganda. We do a lot of kind of farming and produce. And even where we're engaging our customers, we're having a lot of livelihood programs which relate to agriculture. And of course, the effort has always been value addition, and we're as much as possible trying to add value on the products that are being produced either through agriculture or a different kind of mechanism. So in a way, yes, the efforts to do with the making sure that there is value addition, make sure that at least we can earn, our customers can earn more from the products that they are producing within country. And if at all they could be exported, then they would be exported with a lot of value that is added on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambrose. We have a question from Jenny to you, Timur, and it focuses around the long-term impact and outcome. What are the long-term impacts and outcomes that Geopol and the WFP hope for through creating the World Hunger Map? And how is this going to shape WFP action?
Yeah, again, great question. Thank you, Jenny. I think for Geopol's perspective, our goal and hope is to support the WFP and other humanitarian aid groups and donor organizations to provide the data and to have access to data in their target markets to better serve the hopeful beneficiaries of their aid. As far as the hunger map, which is a WFP initiative, and we're supporting that, The expectation is that the data that we're providing will enable them to analyze food security more granularly, to provide an additional layer of information that can be overlaid their traditional food security data. This ability to superimpose as well as juxtapose this information will hopefully show trends that would otherwise be difficult to glean from data derived from traditional research methodology and data sources. So that's generally the expectation and hope over time. And that's the direction as far as the company, as far as Geopoll, that's what we're hoping to achieve in our partnership and our support of the WFP.
Fantastic, thanks, Timur. And a question coming from Susanna, directed to Ambrose. So do you think that the solution can be scaled to other refugee camps and rural areas? And what do you see as the potential barriers for perhaps expanding to further refugee camps and rural areas?
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Susanna, for that kind of great question indeed. As I said, because of the comparative advantages of using clean energy and these technologies, has provided us an opportunity to see this project to be scalable and adaptable to kind of our context, because we've failed it in different kind of contexts, for our case in Uganda and Rwanda. So in a way, yes, it is scalable and it could expand to different kind of contexts, including even other remote contexts, as long as we're able to have the sun. Of course, it is solar-based, and where also we are able to have a method or mechanism of payment through either mobile money or a different kind of system, of course, which contributes greatly to kind of reduced emissions. Now, in a way, the kind of barriers I would look at now is the kind of initial financing, because this is an innovation. The initial financing, because we talked about 50% repayment of the entire product. And part of the challenge has always been how expensive some of the products match up. If the product is expensive, even when probably clients are willing to take it up, then they will be barred by the kind of price that is tagged with that. So our project has always been able to provide a 50% subsidy, and we've seen people are taking up these products. So part of the challenge would be the high prices for some of the products, but of course, with the subsidies, I can see a situation where this innovation can be scaled to different, even all contexts within the world.
Thank you, Ambrose. And I'd like to direct a similar question to Timur as well, just around the kind of long-term sustainability of the Geopol and the WFP relationship and project there. So how is the project and the work with WP looking perhaps to mitigate issues of climate change in the long term? Is there a plan for perhaps some more proactive response rather than reactive at this stage?
Yeah, Guy, thanks for that. So I think, as I touched on in my previous response, but just to elaborate more, I think what we envisage is we'd like to arrive at the ability, providing the ability to the WFP and again other partners working in a similar space to get more accurate and timely data, and can help organizations like the WFP become more proactive rather than reactive, as the data we're providing can show some kind of predictive trends. We'd like to get to a point where we can show coping mechanisms could change over time due to climate change and other circumstances that could otherwise stress and diminish access to food and water. And ultimately, the idea of overlaying Geopol data on top of traditional research methodologies is to arrive at the ability to have some predictive analytics that can be derived and help render the delivery of aid to populations in need or about to be in need more timely and more efficiently. And that's really the direction we're hoping to arrive at in our support of the WFP and other aid organizations that we support as well.
Thanks, Timur. Obviously, quite a very relevant topic at the moment in the humanitarian space, and indeed kind of every space is COVID-19. And I'd like to ask kind of both of you how COVID-19 has impacted your project and how you've adapted. So perhaps Ambrose, if we start off with you and your adaptations to the problems caused by COVID-19.
Yeah, Thanks so much for that question again. Of course, as the COVID-19 pandemic has affected almost everyone in the whole world, and of course, in the resource kind of strained environment, probably the impact has been much bigger, especially with the communities where we have displaced persons. So yes, of course, it has come with the aspects to do with lockdown in terms of reduced kind of movement. Of course, one of the challenges I talked about, we had planned to have a consignment for the solar home systems Rwanda, and we could not do that because of the restrictions that were there. But now, of course, things are improving, and we in the next probably a few weeks we'll be having these products in Rwanda. But of course, it has greatly affected in terms of delivery, in terms of time, but as well as the kind of people now diverting resources much more of life, like food and other kind of other services that they need personally than probably what they would have paid probably for more clean energy kind of equipment. So in a way, it has been a very big challenge, and only even the biggest challenge of it is that the situation is not certain of when this situation is going to be better. And we see a situation of people being, of course, interested in this kind of products, but in a way not being certain, and they're saving these resources and diverting them to other kind of other needs or services like health or studying and like something like that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ambrose. And yeah, you did allude on earlier in the demonstration how there have obviously been supply issues, and I think that's a common theme that we've noticed around many of our projects, that things that were on track to be delivered have fallen on the wayside somewhat, just because of priorities and difficulty of moving, and mixing of people has been a real challenge that we've had to face in many of our Innovation Fund grantees. Timur, I'd like to hand over to you and ask how the Geopol and the WFP have responded in the face of COVID-19, and perhaps the additional work that you've done in the face of the pandemic.
Sure, happy to respond. Yeah, just want to check I'm not muted. So in the face, obviously this year has been so trying for all of us and around the world. Geopol, because we're a remote data collection platform that facilitates data collection through the mobile phone, mostly in emerging markets where we started, particularly in Africa, the Middle East, Central South Asia, and Latin America. A lot of our institutional clients and partners like the WFP have not been able to send researchers to the field due to COVID-19. There's been a lot of restrictions on movement, as we all know, flights, and also just quarantines and the like. So in that respect, we've been well positioned to support them because of we facilitate remote data collection and research and analytics. And we've been very pleased to be well positioned to support the WFP and continue the work that we've been doing for them for years now. As far as what we've seen in the markets where we're in, particularly in Africa, where we support the WFP to do food security monitoring, we have seen that food insecurity has increased in many areas as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The WFP has added COVID-19 case information to the hunger map, along with a specific COVID-19 question module, in order to gather further data that may be specific to the crisis. And we've, in our survey capabilities, have been featuring this question as well, these questions. But like so many issues related to COVID-19, the process of research, analysis, data collection, et cetera, and policy making to address it continue. I know we know a lot more about it now than the world knows a lot more about it now than it did 6 months ago. But of course, it continues, and we'll continue to support the WFP and other partner organizations in this effort. And yeah, that's generally where we sit, and we continue to work with them.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Timur. Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the humanitarian space reacts in the face of kind of even further COVID-19 problems. But it seems that many have adapted well, and yeah, looking forward to see future adaptations in the future. I think we probably have time for one more question that's come in for Ambrose. It's a question around your relationship with mobile network operators and how you've worked with mobile network operators on your projects in Rwanda and Uganda.
Oh, say that again. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. There was a question coming around if you could expand maybe and give a little bit more information about your relationship with some of the mobile network operators, so like MTN that you've worked with. So yeah, if perhaps just a little bit more information on the relationship that you have with MTN.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Again, we have, of course, we've opened up mobile accounts for our organization, and we have a great relationship engagement in terms of creating Momo Pay, direct pay for clients where they are not charged for the transactions they're making. So in a way, we have understanding with them. We've created different accounts for different countries at the country level as an organization, and we use those kind of relationship to have payments come through. But at the same time, as different kind of mobile money operators in different kind of locations are also interested in doing business. So in a way, they're working at the field level to promote that kind of approach for payment. So yeah, I would say the relationship, it's kind of being initiated as we get into this space. And we are very optimistic the fact that we will be able to get through. And of course, we are looking out for even trying to see how we roll it out in the different kind of context as a method of payment for different services.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ambrose. Okay. Well, it is now that we're now at time. And I wanted to say to thank you all for taking the time to join and to participate in the session today. I'd also like to thank Ambrose and Timur for putting together their presentations and taking part in the Q&A. And if you found this session interesting and would like to hear more about the projects that the Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation Fund supports, then please do reach out and connect. I'd also like to acknowledge and say thank you for the programme being supported by the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, the FCDO, and support from the GSMA and its members. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of Thrive Africa, and many thanks and goodbye.
Thank you.